There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
What's up? And welcome into episode number 145 of the Program Guides podcast. My name is Mason Prince. Joined with you as always by Ryan Tyson, Mark Hall, Matt Gant, Patrick Hertzberger. Today is Thursday. October 17th. October 17th. Be sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Find us on all of our all of our social media at Program Guides with a Z on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. That's where you can find us. There, gentlemen, how we doing? How we living? We are back. All five guys.
All five of us.
Like an overpriced burger. Five guys here, baby.
That's right.
How we
been doing
everyone?
Good. I haven't been doing good since OU Texas.
Me neither.
Really? Tell me where you are, Pat. What state we're in now?
What?
Yeah,
we're in a bad state.
I'm in a state where I'm very much Michael Scott.
Amazing.
I'm ready to get hurt again. That's
I don't think there's anything left in me to hurt. I think it's just all gone.
Yeah, jokes on you, Mason. You're not going to be ready for this hurt because it's going to happen in Norman, and it might really happen.
Yeah, just not doing well. Matt, how are you doing?
Not great either, but all you can do is look forward, and we got some Cocks coming in town, so we have to be on top of it at all times. So
I was waiting. I was going to see who was going to make the first joke.
Yeah, it was very quick.
I had my bets on Mark, but
yeah,
I was a minus 3,000.
Yeah,
it is insane.
He really was.
That Matt
really
stole that.
Yeah, but as we said, the South Carolina Gamecocks and Shane Beamer coming to town at 11:45 a.m. for a kickoff in Norman. Yes, Mark?
The once and future special teams coach at the University of Oklahoma, Shane Beamer.
Yeah, Shane Beamer coming to town. Love me some Beamer ball. Beamer ball on full display last week against Alabama, recovering that onside kick.
Oh my God.
At the end of the game. And let me tell you, this is the last thing that Oklahoma needs is to worry about special teams because they got other crap to worry about, man. They are in trouble right now. God, never, I feel like in my life has a 4-2 football team felt more like a 2-4 football team. Like this is just, it's not fun right now. And the old adage says winning cures a lot of things. I'm not even sure a win cures a good feeling for me. I think if you win the game, it's like, yeah, okay, I'm still not really impressed. South Carolina isn't, one of the SEC best. I'm not feeling good. Not feeling good.
I think it's sort of like winning cured all of our worries during the Auburn game, even though the offense looked terrible. We gave up a ton of yards, at least, to Auburn and had to have a Kip 6 bring us back to win that game. That's the kind of game plan that Oklahoma has to have, though, moving forward. Real fast, before we get too deep into this, I need to hear from you guys on OU Texas. I need to hear from Patrick, especially, because it seems the drinks were flowing and the takes were too.
Pat, go ahead and start.
Took over Twitter. I was rage tweeting. I was super unhappy with the game. How do you have 2 weeks to prepare, and that's the offense you roll out? This is the second time Brent Venables hasn't scored an offensive touchdown in his tenure at OU against Texas. It's unexcusable, and it's almost like unforgivable. He's got to earn that back. Currently, I'm not ready to forgive him for that, and that's on him. So I place a lot of blame on Brent Venables. And yes, there's a lot of blame to go around the offense, especially with Seth Littrell. I agree. I mean, you guys said it. You guys all agreed on the podcast. We should fire him. I think it's complacent that we haven't yet. I'm upset about it. Brent talked about it. We can get to that later. But really disappointed with our showing at Texas.
Who else won there?
You and Mason. You and Ryan.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, it was trash. It was all around trash. I think I texted you guys and I said this is worse than 49-0 because it felt worse than 49-0. It felt that we didn't have a semblance of a game plan. We had no idea what we were doing. The offensive, the complexity of our offensive scheme with how hurt we were made absolutely no sense. Most of the play calling made absolutely no sense. The defense played a great first quarter and then kind of fell off. And had some. I thought our secondary played very poorly. Other than Eli Bowen, who I thought had a really, really great game. I think that overall it was just honestly like a pathetic display, and it broke something in me for the rest of the season. I have no hope for this team. I think we just need to get to the offseason. Like that's where I'm at right now.
I think
I went a little bit. I went a little.
Gonna win the game.
I went a little bit optimistic right before the game. Obviously, it's on record that I picked them to win because I was feeling optimistic at the time. And this is what effing happens when Ryan goes optimistic for a second.
Yeah.
Everything breaks down and they fail you. So I'm ready for the offseason.
The offense was terrible. I don't like at all Brent going into a post-game press conference and just talking about the defense the way he did. That rubbed me. That's the first time in Brent Venables' tenure where I was kind of like, dude, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
We all watched the same game. Like, yes, I think the defense could have tackled way better. No one's going to say that they tackled well. But also, how many short fields was Texas given? What do you expect? They score on a fluky play where RSJ makes a great play on a fumble, and the guys are gassed because they've been on the field forever, and no one runs to the ball to get the fumble, and Texas gets it. Yeah, it sucks, but you know how you fix that? By not keeping the defense on the field and coming together, getting any sort of offensive game plan together. And you know what bothers me the most about the offensive game plan is that you had 2 weeks to prepare, like everybody said, but not only did you not have a game plan, you went out there with whatever the hell that was and made it more complicated than anything you've done all year with
100%.
A freshman quarterback, no starting 5 wide receivers, and an offensive line that's still trying to figure it the hell out against a good Texas front 7. That is insane and inexcusable coaching decisions. And I agree. I think Seth Luttrell needs to be fired, but I also get the point. What does it do? At this point, what does it do? I don't know how it makes you better, and it arguably makes you worse. So I think you're in this limbo thing, and Brent Venables made this bet, and he's going to have to lie in it. And it sucks because it's a sucky feeling. And you know, Brent knows how to hire people. He hired Jeff Lebby. Jeff Lebby obviously knew how to run an offense. And again, it just goes back to what we said last week or what we've been saying all season. It was a lazy hire. Brent knows it was a lazy hire. I think the team now knows it was a lazy hire, and it's showing throughout the program. And I hope some guys don't quit on this team, but if they do, I wouldn't be surprised. I hope the culture that Brent has built starts to show.
One thing you said there, what would we get if you fire Seth Luttrell? I kind of look at it as you and I can play with OU on the college football game and have 2 completely different game plans, right? Yeah. Even though it's the same playbook, I think that you just need another guy calling the plays. You need someone else on the sticks, and players might still fail. It's sort of like putting a freshman in the game. You don't know what you're going to get. You truly don't know what you're going to get, but we've seen what we have with Seth, and it's just not doing it.
You're the last ranked offense in the country, basically. It's impossible to be worse.
This is my
last in the SEC.
My thought on this is you literally are expected to lose pretty much every single game from here on out except Maine. Like you can't get any worse. Like you just maybe South Carolina, but like
favored by 3.
We're favored by 3.
So my thought on this is, what do you have to lose? Like, we knew we were going to lose to Texas in the third quarter. What do you have to lose by really putting in Jackson Arnold to see if you can get a spark going? What do you have to lose by firing Seth Luttrell at this point in the season with just
two different questions?
I agree, but I don't think you have anything really at this point to lose, especially if Seth Luttrell comes out with a bad offensive game plan this week. You have nothing to lose by making a switch.
I think
Let me remind you of the class of
Quarterback
2015,
is
which
a
included
switch.
Kyler Murray, and he picks Texas A&M, which had already had number one overall quarterback from 2014, Kyle Allen. At the end of that season, both of those players decided to transfer. That means Kevin Sperry is starting next year, or Cam Rising is starting next year, if the same thing happens to Oklahoma. If you alienate both of those guys, you're just cooked. I see what you're saying for like the whole reason you bring Hawkins in is to provide a spark. Maybe Jackson can provide a spark.
I think the main problem with the idea of putting Jackson in the Texas game specifically is you spent 2 weeks getting a game plan together for Michael Hawkins. And I
Did
think
you?
I mean,
Like,
that's a good point.
I don't-
Did you really? But
there didn't seem to be one. So,
but I mean, it's just it's not a good place to be at all. And I hate that we're here. And they have no one to blame but themselves. No one to blame but themselves.
I do think even if you make the change, the offense, like the ceiling of the offense is not high. The receivers thing, I've come around to just like everything is affected by it because all of these defenses are hearing all week, like they don't have receivers. They don't have receivers. You don't need to worry about receivers. It affects every single play. So that's just where I'm at.
Yeah. The receivers thing is an issue. I don't know what they do because I don't know who's going to be healthy.
I feel worse right now than I did any time in the season that we went 6-6. Like I genuinely do.
I don't know, man.
I
remember some of those pods
because I am concerned about the future trajectory in these next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I don't think he shouldn't, barring, a mass exodus and like a lot of bad things that can happen. I think Brent Venables is your coach next year, but his entire livelihood is going to depend on who he replaces Seth Luttrell with. Yep. And I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure we won't know the answer to that until December, but like, it's not good. And it sucks that it's come down to this because I really thought the undoing of Brent Venables would be something other than a lazy hire on the OC, because the guy can recruit. The guy has a good personality. He's got people to rally, the whole school to rally behind him. But
this was the test, right? Like for this was like the BV test. We knew he could run a defense. We knew that. Yeah. We saw it at Clemson. When we saw it at OU for a while before he went to Clemson. Like, we knew that. We expected it. I think the question was, can he do both? Can he do a defense and an offense at the same time and be a head coach? I think what we've seen in the last 3 years is Brent Venables, the incredible defensive coordinator. I don't really think we've seen Brent Venables, the head coach, yet. Obviously, based on this hire, this OC hire, like, the offense is worse than our Mike Stoops defense was in 2017. I mean, like, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable for any school, but let alone Oklahoma. I mean, it's not going to fly. So unless he turns this around in the next couple of years, unless he gets somebody in there who is able to turn it around, this is a failed experiment of BV, the head coach.
Look at the team on the field too. The discipline has fallen off.
Yeah.
Maybe it was there the first couple of weeks, but as the wheels have come off, so has, guys' ability to hold their water on a punt. Unreal. Yeah. Anyway, one last point from me. There's some interesting parallels, I think, here between Brent and this season and the decision he has this offseason with Bob Stoops in 2014 with Josh Heupel. Mm-hmm. That team, when they played real defenses, could not get it up at all. Brent Venables himself shut down that Trevor Knight-led offense in 2014. It's what got Josh Heupel fired that season. I think that a similar crossroads is ahead for Brent Venables. He's going to have to find someone to take the offense on.
Not brought in, you know who. So,
hey, Garrett Riley would come. Garrett Riley would come. I know he would.
God, that'd be brutal. Okay, moving ahead to this week. Let's shift our focus a little bit to this week to the South Carolina Gamecocks coming in off of a really, really, really close game against Alabama yet again.
Hey, Mason,
Alabama.
I hate to interrupt you. Can I mention one thing? Because I know on the outline we have like the pressers and BV. He's talked a lot this week. And I think the one thing I want to mention is something that you've already mentioned. But the fact that he is really only talking about the defense in most of his communications. And I don't really know why he's doing this. But post game, it was mostly about the defense. When he opened up like his press conference, he was talking a lot about the defense, and how it like didn't do its job in the Texas game. That really, really, really concerns me because it makes it seem like he doesn't know what he's doing at all on the offensive side, and that scares me. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but that's just kind of the messaging that I'm getting from him, and this is the most I've been worried about BV as a head coach.
I believe the day after the game, he was pretty critical of Hawkins.
He was critical of Hawkins, but it's more like more than that. It's
he's not
like,
going to just shit on his OC though. Like he's
but
not
he's
going to say
shitting
the
he's shitting on his true freshman QB. I just like I don't know. I just don't love the choices.
He's a player. Yeah,
I guess.
I'm with you.
Yeah, Matt, what are your thoughts on any comments BV had this week?
Beating around the bush. It's a lot of coach speak. Just trying to take the blame for himself, put the blame on his shoulders, on the defense, and he just doesn't want to come out and say, to Mark's point, Sassachella needs to be fired. He's not going to say that. The media wants him to say that. Everyone wants him to say that, but that's just not going to be the case.
All the fans want him to say that.
All the fans, the entire country at this point, because Oklahoma does have the standard. I mean, we've been blessed with great quarterback play and offensive play calling for the last few years, and now we're literally in the bottom. We could not be worse in every quartile, statistically speaking. So I don't see it improving at all, especially playing the teams on the rest of this year's schedule, but one game at a time.
We fired Mike Stoops after OU Texas, right? In 2018.
Yeah, but that was after bad 3 or 4 or 5 bad years of defense. Right?
I just was curious.
That's the difference.
Mm-hmm. 1.5 years under Lincoln.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's how long it took Lincoln to make that call. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
God, and I remember calling for Mike's head for basically a year.
After that
Lincoln.
Damn Rose Bowl game, I never wanted to see him again.
It was brutal. But
for Oklahoma.
Yeah, for real. I'll tell you this. Teams that are functioning well don't call a players only meeting. I know that much.
Oh my God.
And that's not good. That's not good. When is a players only question for the group? Question for the group. One at a time here. When has a players only meeting ever resulted in anything good? Anybody?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, it's awful. It's the worst thing ever. It's the worst thing ever.
The dumbest thing.
I hate it so much.
Soccer team before the big. Oh, sorry.
Look, it's bad because if we lose to South Carolina and then we lose the next week, or we're not going to lose to Maine. But it's bad because if you suffer another couple of losses, the player meetings that happen after that aren't going to matter. Like there's only one playoff meeting that can really rally the troops together, and it's the first one. Yeah. And we're not even halfway through the season. That's my biggest concern.
Through the hardest part of the schedule.
Well, and the thing that bothers me about the players only meeting, Brent's whole thing is the rah-rah guy that gets you to buy into the culture, buy into everything. You shouldn't need a players only meeting because everybody's already bought in. Having a players only meeting implies that you're trying to get guys to buy in.
I'm pretty sure
hopeful it means Danny said some shit that he couldn't say in front of the coach.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful, it's like that.
I'm pretty sure the defense hates the offense. Like absolutely.
They should.
And that's what I saw in the Texas game of them just kind of giving up because the offense wasn't giving them anything. And it was the same thing that happened in Auburn. It was the same thing that happened in Tennessee. And they were just like, no, we're done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore.
There's a take going around, and I can't remember who kind of started it, but like the OU defense is going to start like quitting, is going to start quitting on games, like in the middle of games, like we did see in the Texas game. And it's unfortunate. Like, I hope that doesn't happen. But if they don't quit, whether you deserve it or not, you are going to be in games. Because at the beginning of that Texas game, you had every opportunity to jump out to a 2-score lead.
Yep.
Every opportunity. And you wasted it. I genuinely think if this defense plays hard and continues to be bought in, you will be in every game. Whether you deserve it or not, you're going to be there. It's all about what you do with those opportunities. And look, the offense has not shown us any reason that they're going to capitalize on those. Let's call a spade here. But I mean, good God, they're going to give you opportunities to get up on the scoreboard. It's just crazy, man. I don't understand.
We've had line movement. So we said 3 earlier.
Yeah.
1.5 now.
There it is.
Yeah.
Just keep it going.
I don't even know how OU's favored.
I don't either.
There's
How
no
does anyone think we
over-under.
can score? We can't score.
Over-under's 41, and the team
Under.
total
Not a
for
chance. Under.
both. And the team total for both teams is 20.5. How does
Under.
that get you to a 1.5 spread for OU and not
I
a
don't-
pick 'em?
I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
There's some math there we could take advantage of, but I don't know what it. I think it means betting
Arbitration.
on South Carolina.
I would bet on South
betting
Carolina.
on South Carolina, so I
Yeah.
can't do that.
I don't know. On the injury front, what did we hear injury wise this week? I think
Doug's is
Jaleel
like
is
80%.
80%.
Yeah.
And so, how
Oh,
was
yeah.
he questionable last week?
Yeah,
Need to ask that question.
yeah.
It's like, how does this math work?
What
Someone
the
explain to me.
hell? What the hell does 80% mean, man? Like, what the hell does that mean? Everybody's 80% right now.
You
dude.
know when you go for a run and you're like, yeah, that was about 4/5 good.
Yeah. No, nobody.
You know?
Jeez.
When you're like, man, 80 out of 10 on that one. That's
Well-
what I think of my own performances.
And like, what does the 80% mean? Because like, I guarantee you, the vast majority of that defense is probably 80% healthy, and they're all playing, and they're all gutting through stuff. So is he 80% recovered or 80% healthy? Because if he's 80% healthy, get your ass on the field,
Good
play,
point.
do something. It's infuriating. And
Take that
I'm
right
not trying to blame these guys for being hurt. Like, who knows the severity of things? You have no idea. But I think some of these guys need to make a decision, and I think some of them are making business decisions at this point. I think they are.
They have
They have to be. The Jackson Arnold red shirt was already floated around. That's not good. You don't want to freaking hear that. That's brutal.
yeah, I mean,
I don't. It's complicated.
More time for him at Mississippi
Super
State.
complicated.
Hey, 30 minutes in, haven't even talked about South Carolina, boys.
Let's
Look
do
at
it.
us go,
Dude,
huh?
if he wants to go to Mississippi State and suck even more, then like that's up to
I mean,
him.
he's going there. So
I mean, whatever. Okay. South Carolina, Matt, you started. You've been quiet,
Yeah.
so go ahead. Start us off.
Here's the thing. I like to let the boys riff, and I just vibe, and I just sit back and I take it all in because I can feel the burden coming on my shoulders to take care of you guys like my own. But what I can tell you about
I love
South
coming on your
Carolina,
shoulders, man.
That was the weirdest thing you could have said.
what can I tell you about South Carolina? A couple close games. So obviously they've had a pretty up and down year. Earlier in the year, beat Kentucky 31-6, who Kentucky later to beat Ole Miss at Ole Miss a few weeks later. But they have two close losses to number 16 LSU 36-33, and then obviously last week's performance where they did have an opportunity to beat Bama, but I think Bama's kind of been reeling the last few weeks, and maybe not the Bama that played Georgia and looked that good that week. So South Carolina is pretty interesting. It is a lot of bully bowl. 60% of their plays are rushing, and they do have a dual quarterback threat in what is his name? Something Sanders.
Lenoris Sellers.
So he is a dual threat. He is the second leading rusher on the team with 219 yards, and their main running back, Raheem Sanders, averages about 5 yards a carry. So this is going to be South Carolina's game plan. So it's going to be strength on strength. And so that's what I'm looking for this weekend. Can we stop the running attack, both of Sanders, and limit the quarterback to stay in the pocket? Because he is going to look to run. Similar to Hawkins, he's going to look at the first 1 or 2 reads, and if it's not there, he's going to scramble and use his legs. OU's rushing defense obviously got gashed in the second half of the Texas game after they've been on the field. But before that, they were top 15 in rushing efficiency. So can we get back to what we had seen previously before Texas? That is what the biggest kind of factor that I'm looking for in this game. Can our strength beat theirs? Because I don't think their quarterback is as good that we've previously seen, like Quinn Ewers and Nico. So can we stop the run game? That should set us up for success if we can.
There's one guy in the sorry, go Pat.
No, go ahead.
Okay, there's one guy in the passing game that I want to highlight too off of those run plays. It's Mazeo Bennett. He's a freshman speedster for them. He has 17 catches and more yards than our leading receiver. Who do you guys think our leading receiver is?
Deion Burks.
Sharp.
Deion Burks. Deion Burks has 26 catches for 201 yards. Bennett has 17 catches for 257 yards. So you don't need to worry about this guy just running a crosser. You need to worry about him taking the top off the defense. And I guarantee you that's what they're going to try and do after establishing the run, as Matt so very eloquently explained.
Rocket Sanders, Arkansas transfer, Patrick. What do you think?
Yeah,
our defense is matchup.
Our defense is definitely going to need to improve from last week going into this game, right? Tackling needs to be better. Overall physicality needs to be a lot better. And hopefully, I mean, I have all faith that they're going to make those changes and adjustments. They're probably upset with how they performed last week. So I'm expecting good things out of the defense against those good players that South Carolina does have. I'm sure that, we'll break here and there, but expecting us to not give up more than 30 points, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Go ahead, Ryan.
I think the defense is going to have a really good start to this game. I think that they're going to come out and try to make up for what they did against Texas. And I think that they're going to be fired up, probably BV has yelled at them all week, I assume. And if they had a players only meeting where they could yell at each other a little bit, maybe they're coming in a little bit more fired up, right? I think and this is going to switch us over to the offense. I think the defensive performance is very, very dependent on what the offense does. I think if we get takeaways and we play really well that first quarter and our offense just still can't do anything, I do think the defense is probably just going to quit a little bit on it, because I think that's the mental state that we're in right now. And, I can't really blame them, but at the same time, I don't want it to happen. So I expect, like on paper, this should be a good matchup for our defense. Like it should be. We should be able to stop the run. We should be able to contain the quarterback. I feel pretty good about that. But I also think that the defense we saw last week against Texas could come back to play if our offensive struggles still continue like they have.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, anyone notice who the third string quarterback for South Carolina is?
Davis Bevel.
Crazy.
Oh,
Crazy.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, man.
A Division I program thought he was good enough to be a body.
Is he still dating the softball girl?
I was about to say, you think we're not kept up on Mr. Storako?
Yeah. There it is.
Dude, crazy.
Hey, the last point I have on the defense, if the offense goes back-to-back fumbles like that, I can't hold anything the defense does after that to them.
Nope.
It's an unfair position to continue to put them in. And I don't have any doubt those guys are playing to the best of their abilities, and it just keeps getting put on them. I understand that we led in time of possession, but I want to see where those drives start and where they end, because we had the ball for a long time and didn't do shit with it. Mm-hmm. And that's what needs to change this game for the defense to even have success.
Yeah, I agree with that. South Carolina, pretty evenly balanced team in terms of passing yards, rushing yards, over 1,000 yards. They got like 1,100 passing yards, 1,095 rushing yards from what I saw. Rocket Sanders and in the quarterback run game is really where you're going to need to focus, as Matt pointed out. I think if you make them a passing team, it helps you a lot. And I think that's something that we need to focus on. Anything else on the defense before we move on to the offensive side of the ball for OU? I don't really know what to say on the offensive side because none of it matters. They're going to come out with some bullshit game plan that is garbage and not going to matter. But let's talk about it. OU's terrible on offense. Near if not at the bottom of college football, definitely at the bottom of the SEC. They got to get something going. I
can jump in here because I can start us. I think the thing that I am looking for is simplification. I need them to simplify their game plan. Like, I literally don't give a shit if you are trying to confuse the defense with all of your complicated nonsense that you're doing on offense like you did in the Texas game. It's not working. So simplify this down. Don't make it so damn difficult for your freshman quarterback to be able to even understand where he is on the field. Don't make it so complicated for your running backs to be able to even Taylor Tatum picking up the ball and not really knowing where to go and then fumbling it. What are we doing? This is kind of going back to the Texas game rant a little bit. But this is so important for this South Carolina game because we came into that Texas game with just a incredibly complicated game plan that is not going to work. And I need to see that they can simplify this. I need to see that Littrell can simplify this. We have already talked about him, that he shouldn't have a job right now. That's fine. The decision was made already that he is going to stay in this role throughout the rest of the season by BV, basically. Basically, he said that this past week. We need to see something change, and I think the easiest way to do that, just simplify. Try to simplify your offense as much as you can. Try to take the wide receivers that you do have and the skill positions that you do have and put them in the best situations you can by just making it easier for them. That's what I want to see on offense.
Go ahead, Matt.
South Carolina also boasts a pretty good rush defense, only giving up 3.1 yards per carry and just under 115 yards on the ground and less than 200 yards in the air. So this is a pretty good balanced defense as well. I would like to see us be able to establish the run. Javonte Barnes is the hardest rusher that we have. I mean, every single play he's doing well. Obviously, Taylor Tatum falls forward for 3 or 4 yards every time. Unfortunately, came in and fumbled. So not sure how much trust we have in Taylor Tatum at this point. But I got to establish the run to make it respectable enough to give Hawkins enough time. In the Texas game, it looks like what the game plan was to get Hawkins outside the pocket as much as possible. I think that just shows you they don't trust the offensive line up front, especially inside on the guards, to protect him. Well, I got freaking bad news for you. South Carolina has a fantastic defensive line. Almost 10% of their opponents' plays end up in a sack. They have some dudes on that defensive line that can get after the quarterback. It's going to be the same old story. Can we get Michael Hawkins out of the pocket or give him enough protection to make these throws with, I guess, a depleted wide receiver core? Going to have to figure out a game plan to get the ball out of his hands at this point because that defensive line is going to be coming after him all game long.
I'll push back a little bit on that, Matt. He's got to throw the ball to even do that. He's got to get rid of the ball. He doesn't.
Well, if you turn the ball over, you're getting benched. So
I know you're right. You're right. They made their bed. They got to lie in it. He has to throw the ball and has to read defenses better. And that's a lot to ask in a week of preparation time. I don't know if he's going to be getting better on that front in a week. The only way is for his coach to instill confidence in him and say, hey, take this shot. We're not going to yank you. Like, go ahead and try to get something to happen. I think if Farouk, I think if Deion Burks doesn't play, I need to see 40 rush attempts. If Deion Burks does not play, I want to see 40 rush. I think I saw somebody tweet something about you had 2 weeks to prepare with a freshman quarterback against Texas, and you made him make a decision like 40 or some odd times.
Yeah.
Whether that's a quarterback read. Whether it's a quarterback read or whether it was a passing play. Like that's insane. And to Ryan's point, simplify shit. Stop making your freshman quarterback make decisions like that. Tell him he's got to hand the ball
in a game against the number one team in the country and the number one defense in the country. Like,
tell him he's got to hand the ball off between the tackles. Tell him he's got to throw a tight end screen. Tell him you are throwing a wide receiver screen, or you are throwing this slant pass on time right now. Like that's what you need to do. And I hope they do it. If Deion Burks does not play, run the damn ball. Run the ball. Run the ball. Run the ball.
Come with the people that brought you to the ball as well. Michael Tarkin plays 27 snaps and then gets pulled.
What the hell was that?
We moved Jacob Sexton to left tackle, and Heath Ozida plays the entire rest of the game. Heath Ozida is not Caden Green in 2023. That falls on Bill Bedenbaugh. I understand there's still like a figuring it out thing going on. That's going to be happening throughout the season at every single position. That's how it goes. But you can't tell me, if you're Bill Bedenbaugh, that you really thought that was your best choice just because Tarquin had made a couple mistakes in those 27 plays. I think that, to your point, to both of Ryan and Mason, you're telling me that they could have spent 2 weeks working on passing plays that get Michael Hawkins easy situations and not the stupid fake counter draw action that we're doing. This new motion that we've just devised for every single handoff from the shotgun.
That's
infuriating. It's so infuriating.
That worked one time. And look, hey, that's great. You practice it so that it will work one time. But to make that your entire running offense game plan after you take out your best left tackle, there's a disconnect here on this offensive side of the ball. And I've already said, I don't think our ceiling is ever going to be very high with all of the receivers out, but you have to find a way to just create offense. There are still easy plays. Every offense in college football is able to do stuff, and they have, most of them, 90% of them have less on the offense than Oklahoma does, even at this state of the game. And so you have to show up and you have to have something for these guys to just winnable plays. Just make it easy on them. Seth Luttrell isn't an idiot. He isn't stupid, but he's still playing like he thinks he has those 5 wide receivers. And you've got to build an offense that is going to take advantage of what you have and mitigate the things that you've lost.
Go ahead, Pat. Jump in there, man.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest thing to wrap it up is execution, right? That was very poor this past week, too. We need to be able to execute better. And another thing I was going to say is Michael Hawkins. I'm done with him running backwards and getting sacked. Just take the shot. Take the shot downfield. It's okay if you throw a few interceptions. We had 2 turnovers last week. I don't care if we have 4 this week as long as we put up points at this point.
I tweeted it during the game. Michael thinking he's still in high school and can escape pressure by going backwards, it has to stop. Has to stop. I know that your entire football career has been built off your athleticism and you being more athletic than everybody. That's not the way it is right now. I'm sorry, but you cannot keep doing that. You are putting your team in bad situations behind the sticks constantly because you are running backwards to avoid pressure. Learn to either step up in the pocket or sidestep and escape sideways. The going backwards and trying to outrun people is just not going to work. It's just not. Those guys are coming downhill too fast and too hard for you to avoid pressure that way. I can't see it anymore. I agree with Pat.
We need a quarterback coach.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
Did y'all see Brent's quote on that? They have a small army coaching the quarterbacks.
No.
You know what, man? You need that small army to have a general. That's an insane thing to say.
Yeah.
And I'm supportive of Brent, like to a fault probably a lot of the time, but that is just not thinking through what you're doing. Brent Venables would not have a linebackers coach.
Yeah.
But he was comfortable having no quarterbacks coach this year. He wouldn't have a DB. He wouldn't go without a DB's coach. He wouldn't just not have a Todd Bates on staff, but he was comfortable not having a coach for the most important position on the field. It's dereliction of duty.
He's never had to think about it like that before, and it's that's the problem.
It's like the old adage: if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one quarterback. If you have 5 quarterback coaches, you don't have one quarterback coach. You don't. Those guys do not have a guy that they can lean on when they're on the sideline and talk to and figure out what they want to do if something breaks down. They have no one to talk that out with because Seth Luttrell and Joe John Finley got their other stuff to figure out, and Seth Luttrell's up in the damn booth. He's not even there. He's not even talking to them. It's just, it's bad, man. It's just all bad. It's all bad, and there's no way to solve it until the end of the year, and it sucks. But again, Brent has no one to blame but himself. And I think it was George Stoya who wrote the article for Center Scoop that Brent Venables, fixed Oklahoma's defense, but his job is going to be dependent on whether or not he can fix the offense. Yep. And I thought that was a great point by George.
Those guys said it like 8 times during the post game, so I'm glad that he expanded the thought out.
Yeah,
he got that stuff written down.
Yeah, got it written down. Just brutal, man.
But it's true. It'll sink him. It'll sink him the same way Lincoln keeping Mike Stoops would have sunk him. It's just what it is.
This is worse than Mike Stoops, though. I want to be incredibly clear that this offense is somehow worse than that Mike Stoops defense.
And
we're looking at the same thing.
This is the thing that I wanted to make clear that I wish I would have made clear earlier when we were talking about the Texas game. I have full faith in Brent Venables that he can hire an offensive coach to fix this situation. He did it before. He hired Jeff Lebby, and yeah, we hated it, but hindsight, would we bitch about it now at all? No, we wouldn't. We wouldn't at all. If we had Jeff Lebby or an offensive mind like Jeff Lebby with this offense right now, no one would be complaining. We wouldn't be complaining. We would have beaten that Tennessee team. I know for a fact we would have. I think that give Brent until December, and he's going to find an offensive mind because he's going to scour the country. And I think he's going to find somebody good, just like Bob Stoops finding Lincoln Riley at Eastern Carolina. I think it's going to be something like that. I have faith that he has the ability to do that. He's a smart enough football mind to do that. And Ryan was right. He's been way too focused on the defense. But I think this season is a massive wake-up call for him. Massive wake-up call. He was so focused on bringing Oklahoma defense back to prominence, and he did it, but at the cost of his offense. And that's his issue. That's his problem.
Love it.
But I think he can fix it.
I think it's time for score predictions. What do you guys say?
Oh God,
I love Matt trying to move us on. Go ahead, Matt. Give us your score prediction.
I saw a joke on Twitter the other day when the opening line came out, and it said OU favored 3.5 points, and someone reposted said, "Oh, it's funny. They think OU is going to even score 3 points." And I think here, and I sit here, and I've let that sink in, and I think, can we score more than 3 points? Not what I saw last week. I've been having a really difficult time coming up with the score because I think South Carolina is the better team. They just have a better offense. And I can't trust our offense worth a crap. Until I see something different, I'm going to choose against Oklahoma every single game. I'm going South Carolina I think it will be low scoring. I think it's going to be kind of grimy, rough. I'm going to go 17-3, South Carolina. I'm sorry, 17-10. OU defense gets a defensive touchdown. The offense only scores
The lead up
3 points.
to that was fantastic. I just would like to say that
17-10, South Carolina. I have to continue to pick against OU until they can show me offensively otherwise. I just can't. It's just too unrealistic.
No.
3 points. 2 weeks. Unreal.
I have
17-10 Gamecocks.
I have OU winning 16-10. I think OU defense gets a late stop as South Carolina's driving to try to take the lead and get the win. I think OU's defense gets a stop 16-10. That's 3 field goals for those counting at home. Yes, I know what I'm saying. I'm terrified as well. 16-10, my final score. Oklahoma.
I'll go next. 17-13, South Carolina. I can't. I retweet everything that Gan said. I can't trust this offense.
I can't trust him either. That's why I said 3 field goals.
23-17 Oklahoma, you softies.
I picked with you. I'm on your team. I'm on your team.
I picked for him last week, and I can't.
I'm on your team, Mark. I'm with you.
You are.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, I'm looking at just South Carolina's schedule again and how they've played. They've lost to the number 7 best team in the nation by 2 points. They've lost to the number 8 best team in the nation by 3 points. They beat Kentucky 31-6. And I don't know if we would beat Kentucky yet or even be able to compete with Kentucky. So looking at all of that, I think we're going to lose 27-13.
Okay.
Usually Pat is closer in these. He was the closest with
football,
Texas, right?
He literally
It's unbelievable how good
Yeah,
he
it
is
really
at
is.
this.
It really
He
is.
just-
He's very good at it.
Pat
He drops in for the zooms.
Hertzberger.
He does.
Right.
Okay, let us know your final score prediction down in the comments. We read every single one of your comments. Let us know what you think the final score is going to be. All right, PGP MVP of the week. Time to wrap up the show. Matt, give us your MVP. Who's your MVP?
Yeah, MVP goes to the home game theme this week versus South Carolina is Sooner Magic Moments. Unfortunately, we are not going to see any during the game. So that is my MVP. Home game themes. So much fun when we're losing.
It's a whiteout as well. We're white.
Gan is channeling my energy for this pod, and I really like it.
Sit next to you for 3.5 hours. That'll do it to you.
Yeah, no joke.
He did get to sit next to me.
God.
That's funny.
That's brutal. All right, go ahead, Pat.
I'm going to go with Javonte Barnes. I thought he played well last week. We should have given him the rock more. So I want Javonte to get the rock more. Obviously, Taylor Tatum as well. But 40 carries, Mason. I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm all about that. My MVP of the week is the Jinx Trojans. And my LVP of the week is Ryan Tyson in the Deer Creek Antlers. Woo! That's right, Ryan.
Cool.
Going against you. Fun little matchup this week. The Jinx Trojans bringing in the Deer Creek Antlers. Deer Creek's first year up in the highest division of Oklahoma State football. Deer Creek, one of 2 undefeated teams left in 6A Division I with the Owasso Rams. So Deer Creek ranked 3rd in the state coming in to face Jinx. Jinx ranked 5th. So going to be a lot of fun. Going to be a fun night at Allen Trimble Stadium. Me and Ryan against each other because Ryan cares so much about about
Ryan's making the trip.
Right,
my question,
much.
My question about that is this, Ryan, is Deer Creek part of Edmond Public Schools or is it its own thing?
It's its own public school system.
Thank you. Okay.
You're
Good
welcome.
to know. Yeah. Because I didn't know if it was with Edmond Memorial and Santa Fe and whatever.
No, when I was there, it was like 5A or whatever. So
yeah, it was.
That's the first year you're 6A, Ryan.
Well,
6A Division
6A 1.
Sorry,
they were 6A Division 2.
Patrick, okay,
the year before.
Just some Mason.
And for the for the listeners to know, this is the Deer Creek Antlers. It's not the deer.
Not the deer.
It's just
the mascot
antlers.
is a deer. But the name is an antler.
Is that the way it's always been?
Thing. Yes, it's been that way since my mom went there to high school. So
and what
ridiculous.
about the teachers licking kids?
Ooh, good question.
We'll table that.
Okay.
Let's move on.
It'd be super easy to be the Deer Creek Bucks. Super easy. So like the easiest,
It'd be
easiest
great
thing. Yeah, easiest thing.
No.
Okay, go ahead. Who's next for your MVP?
I'll go.
I think it. Go for it.
I'm gonna give mine to Dylan Gabriel. I love that guy, and
Good
congratulations to the Oregon Ducks for beating the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ryan Tyson turnaround on DG.
Yeah.
This is a turnaround.
This
for
guy's
DG.
amazing.
Jesus.
Just because you don't know how good you have it until it's gone.
Literally stood on the table last year trying to fight Ryan about this and whatever. It's
Amazing.
fine.
Hey, you've had your moments too, Mason. You
I
have no
have.
room to talk about this.
I stand by it. Danny Stutzman freaking sucked as a sophomore. He was bad.
He's so good.
We'd be 5-1 right now with DG and be like, I just don't know if he can raise our ceiling any further, you know? So
That's because I'm convinced we're just never going to be happy. We're never happy.
Right.
Never happy. So, but whatever. DG, good for you, man. Go get your money. Hopefully you're obviously on a really good team. Maybe you'll get to the championship. That'd be cool. Always like to see success for those guys.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yep, my MVP is going to be Tyler Algier. Broke 100 yards rushing against the Carolina Panthers last weekend, and a lot of people calling for him to be RB1. I feel like you can do a lot of things with Bijan Robinson that isn't necessarily lining him up as the tailback in your offense, and Tyler's pretty limited to being in that spot. However, he's so effective at it, man. He just carries dudes. He runs right through dudes. He's everything that we had in Tawee Walker and didn't know we had, right? He's except Tawee Walker catches the football too. Man, what a guy that would be in our backfield. But Tyler Algier, man, Tawee Walker, 3 touchdowns this weekend for Wisconsin. Tyler Algier, really effective player for the Atlanta Falcons, and that's my MVP this week.
Love that.
Gan, are you crying down there?
Wonder.
No, Gam was doing his fake laugh. He only does it when I say things.
Yeah. Wonder how
we're good in person. I don't know what this thing is on the pod.
It's the beef.
Wonder how Gavin Freeman's doing. That
well.
always pops in my head.
He's not playing.
Yeah, I know.
He's not playing, but at least he had a scholarship at Oklahoma.
Yeah, unreal. Just brutal. All right, and with that, that's going to wrap up the show. Be sure to like, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Follow us on all of our social media at Program Guides with a Z. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. That's where you can find us. We will see you for a post-game pod on Saturday or Sunday. Not really sure yet. Mark and I in town for the game. Anyone else?
Boomer.
Anyone else?
Negative.
Nope.
Negative. Going to be a good time. Good times will be had. Shout out Tyler Sluss, Connor Bourne. Can't wait to see you. We will see y'all this weekend. Boomer Sooner. Wear your white if you're going to the game. Pat, take us out. Pat, take us out.
Keep pushing it, baby.
God damn it, Matt. Don't fucking.
3, 2, 1.
There's not one guy, one person in the history of this program that's bigger than the program.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.